Cold weather can be beautiful and refreshing, but it can also be deadly if you are not adequately prepared. Preparing for cold weather is essential for your safety and well-being, which can mean the difference between thriving and struggling to survive. We will explore tips and techniques for surviving and thriving in cold weather. Cold weather can pose many challenges and hazards, including hypothermia, frostbite, and other cold-related injuries. Therefore, it is crucial to be prepared for these challenges by dressing appropriately, having the right gear, and knowing how to stay warm and safe in cold weather conditions. Have an emergency plan, such as knowing how to signal for rescue and recognize and treat hypothermia and frostbite. Hypothermia and frostbite are two of the most common and dangerous cold-related injuries. Hypothermia occurs when your body temperature drops below normal and can be deadly if not treated promptly. Symptoms of hypothermia include shivering, slurred speech, and confusion. Frostbite is a condition that occurs when your skin and underlying tissues freeze, and it can lead to permanent damage or even amputation if not treated. Symptoms of frostbite include numbness, pale skin, and cold to the touch. Therefore, it is essential to be aware of the signs of hypothermia and frostbite and to take steps to prevent and treat these conditions if they occur. One of the most important aspects of surviving in cold weather is finding a place to stay warm and dry. There are several options for finding shelter in cold weather, including building a shelter using natural materials, emergency blankets, or other materials to create a makeshift shelter. If you find yourself stranded in a snowy wilderness, one option for finding shelter is to build a shelter using natural materials. This could involve using branches and leaves to create a frame and then covering it with additional insulation layers, such as grass or leaves. You can also use a tarp or other waterproof material to create a roof. It is important to choose a site for your shelter that is protected from the wind and other elements and to ensure that the shelter is sturdy and able to withstand the weight of the snow. If you have a tent or other type of portable shelter with you, this can be an excellent option for staying warm and dry in cold weather. Setting up your tent in a sheltered location, away from the wind and other elements, is important. You can also use a sleeping bag or additional warm bedding to stay warm inside your tent. If you don't have a tent, you can use emergency blankets or other materials to create a makeshift shelter. If you have access to a fireplace or other heating source, this can be an excellent way to stay warm in cold weather. It is essential to follow all safety guidelines when using a fireplace or other heating source and to keep the area around the heat source clear of flammable materials. If you don't have access to a fireplace, you can use a portable heater or other heating sources to keep your shelter warm. It is important to choose a safe and appropriate heater for the space you are using it in and follow all manufacturer's instructions for use. Staying hydrated is essential for your overall health and well-being, but it is imperative in cold weather. When it's cold outside, you may not feel as thirsty as you do in warmer weather, but it is still important to drink enough water to prevent dehydration. Here are some tips for staying hydrated in cold weather. Cold weather can cause your body to lose more water than usual through your skin and your breath. This can lead to dehydration if you don't drink enough water to replace the fluids you lose. Dehydration can cause several symptoms, including fatigue, headache, and dry mouth, and it can also weaken your immune system, making you more vulnerable to illness. Therefore, drinking enough water in cold weather is essential to prevent dehydration. Finding a source of clean water in the winter can be challenging, especially in a wilderness setting. One option is to look for rivers, streams, or lakes, which may still contain water even in cold weather. You can also try melting snow or ice to create drinking water, but be sure to purify it before drinking it to remove contaminants. You can purify water by boiling it for at least 1 minute or using a water purification system. It can be challenging to stay hydrated if you are on the go in cold weather. One option is to carry a water bottle or hydration pack and refill it as needed. You can also bring along water purification tablets or a water filter to ensure that you have clean, safe-to-drink water. To prevent dehydration, it is important to drink water regularly throughout the day, even if you don't feel thirsty. Maintaining a balanced diet is vital for your overall health and well-being, but it is crucial in cold weather. Cold weather can increase your body's energy needs, so eating enough food to fuel your body and keep it warm is essential. Here are some tips for staying nourished in cold weather. Eating a balanced diet is important for maintaining your energy levels and supporting your immune system, which can be especially important in cold weather. A balanced diet should include a variety of foods from different food groups, such as fruits, vegetables, proteins, and grains. In addition, it is important to pay attention to your body's needs and to eat enough food to fuel your body and keep it warm. If you are in a wilderness setting and don't have access to store-bought food, you may need to gather and prepare wild foods to sustain yourself. This could involve foraging for edible plants, hunting or fishing, gathering nuts and berries, and knowing which plants and animals are safe to eat and how to prepare and cook them correctly is important. If you are in a cold weather setting, it can be challenging to store and cook food. You can also use insulation or other materials to keep food warm and prevent it from freezing. It is essential to store food properly to avoid spoilage and to ensure that it stays safe to eat. Staying warm is essential for survival in cold weather, and there are several strategies you can use to keep warm and prevent hypothermia and frostbite. One of the most effective ways to stay warm in cold weather is to wear multiple layers of clothing. Layering your clothing allows you to adjust your body temperature by adding or removing layers as needed. The base layer should be made of a moisture-wicking fabric to help keep your skin dry, and the outer layers should be made of insulating materials to keep the heat in. It is also essential to wear clothing that fits properly to ensure that it is effective at keeping you warm. Wearing proper winter gear is essential for staying warm in cold weather. A hat, gloves, and warm boots can help keep your head, hands, and feet warm, which are particularly vulnerable to cold-related injuries. Choosing winter gear that is appropriate for the weather conditions and that fits properly is vital to ensure that it is effective at keeping you warm. Staying active can help to maintain your body heat and prevent hypothermia. Engaging in physical activity, such as walking or doing exercises, can help to keep your blood circulating and your body warm. It is essential to dress appropriately for the weather and to take breaks to warm up if you start to feel cold. It is also necessary to listen to your body and to stop physical activity if you feel exhausted or overly cold. In a cold weather survival situation, it is important to be prepared for emergencies and to know how to handle them. One option is to use a signaling device, such as a flare or a mirror, to attract the attention of rescue workers or passing aircraft. You can also use a whistle or other loud noise to signal for help. If you don't have access to a signaling device, you can use different methods to signal for help, such as building a giant SOS sign out of branches or other materials. A first aid kit and other essential emergency supplies can be crucial for survival in cold weather. A first aid kit should include basic supplies such as bandages, gauze, antiseptic, pain relievers, and allergy medication. Including items such as a flashlight, a map, and a compass in your emergency supplies is also a good idea. In a cold weather survival situation, it is also essential to have warm clothing and blankets on hand to help keep you warm in an emergency. There are several strategies you can use to survive and thrive in the snow. Following these tips and techniques can increase your chances of surviving and thriving in cold weather.